We see a sniper named Bob who is currently in Africa and is on a mission with his partner Donnie. Now after a short surveillance, Bob saw a terrorist's car and without delay he killed this terrorist. Now before these people could get out of here, a group of terrorists showered bullets on them. Now Bob showed his skills and killed many of these terrorists, but soon this situation started getting out there of hands and an enemy helicopter started dropping bombs around them. Now Bob asked for help from the CIA but he did not get any response from them. Now amidst the gunfire a bullet hit Donnie and that poor man died. Now seeing this, Bob became very angry and he fired several bullets on that helicopter. Now at first he missed his target but after a little effort he shot down this helicopter. Now 3 years after this incident, we see Bob who has now retired from the army and is living a normal life in the forest with his dog. Now one day a man named Isaac Johnson who is the head of the CIA comes to meet Bob. Isaac got the tip that very soon an attack is going to happen on the President of America, so he went to meet Bob so that this attack can be stopped with the help of an expert. Actually Bob's job was to make different plans to kill the president so that Isaac and his team are ready for every challenge to come. Now at first Bob refused to do this work because now he has retired and he does not want to go back to that old life. But when Isaac explained the seriousness of the matter to him, Bob also agreed to do this work. Now before leaving, Isaac gave all the information to Bob and called him to Washington next week. Now after a week Bob reached Washington, D.C. where the president was going to give his speech. Now after several days of research, Bob told Isaac that the attack on the president will happen in Philadelphia. Now here Isaac thanked him and asked him to come on the day of the president's speech as well. Now days passed like this and very soon the day has come when the president was going to give a speech in front of the whole country. Here Bob reached a room with Isaac from where he could see the whole city. Now here Bob met a man named Michael Sandor who was a part of Isaac's team and had a very major role in the security of the president. As soon as the president climbed the stage to give speech, Bob told everyone that this is the best opportunity to attack the president, so we should get him down from the stage as soon as possible. But before he could finish, a policeman present in the room shot Bob and on the other side an unknown sniper shot the president. Seeing this, Bob broke the window and ran away from here. As soon as Bob left, Isaac's team cleaned the entire room and left Bob's sniper rifle and his fingerprints on a table. On the other side, an FBI officer named Nick tried to stop Bob, but Bob easily defeated him and handcuffed him and started leaving from here. But before leaving he told Nick that I have not killed the president and I am being framed. After this he sat in Nick's car and started leaving the city, but before he could escape from here, FBI started chasing him. Now to escape from the police, Bob drove his car into a car wash station and quickly bandaged his wounds. But after a while when he came out on the road, a police team surrounded him from all sides. Now since Bob had no other way he put the car in reverse gear and fell straight into a river. After this the FBI thoroughly searched the river but they could not find Bob because he had already escaped from here through the boat. Now after a while he reached the shore and stole a truck and ran away from here. On the other hand, all the news channels started showing Bob's photo on TV and started calling him the president's killer. After this we see the FBI headquarters which was very angry with Nick because Bob had escaped by dodging them. Now here Nick told his senior that while running away Bob had told him that he had not killed the president. However, Nick Sr. did not believe his words and he demoted Nick and made him sit in the FBI call center. Now as soon as it was night, Bob went to a supermarket and before going inside he cut down the electricity of the shop. After this he went inside the shop and bought some items from a lady present there. After this he went to the toilet of the shop and bandaged his wound. But in the meantime the lady present in the shop got suspicion of him and she immediately called the FBI. Now Nick picked up the call where this lady told him that maybe Bob had come to her shop a little while ago. Now trusting this lady, Nick told this to his senior but due to his past mistakes, his senior did not pay much attention to this. Now Nick worked on this case all night and found out all the information about Bob. Now the next morning, a lady came to this office who was actually Nick's colleague. Now when she saw Nick working on this case she told him that the policeman who shot Bob was murdered by someone last night. Now after hearing this, Nick became convinced that Bob is absolutely innocent and someone has tried to frame him. On the other hand, we see Bob who actually reached a woman's house to meet her. This woman was none other than Donnie's widow wife Sarah. Though today she met Bob for the first time but she knew him for many years because after Donnie's death, Bob had written a letter to her and he used to sell flowers to Sarah every year. Now Sarah had also seen about Bob on TV, so she refused to help Bob. But when Bob told her that he is innocent, then Sarah let him in. Now after coming in, Sarah told him that the president is absolutely fine. That day the bullet had hit a politician of another country present there. On the other hand, we see Nick, who was investigating all the buildings present around the crime scene. Meanwhile, he reached a building where he found the marks of a sniper tripod, and this building was only 500 meters away from the crime scene. Now seeing this, Nick felt a little strange because he had read in Bob's file that Bob is a very good sniper and he kills his target from miles away. Then how did he miss his target from a distance of only 500 meters, and instead of the president he shot that other politician? On the other hand, we see Sarah, who is a nurse by profession, and at the moment she is treating Bob. Now after a while, when Bob regained consciousness, Sarah told him that the government has even killed his dog. Now Bob was very sad to hear this, and he swore that he will prove himself innocent and only Nick can help him in this work. Now Bob made a plan. According to this plan, Sarah reached a cafe to meet Nick. Here Sarah told him the whole thing and also gave him the number of Isaac's car so that Nick can investigate a little about this, and this also creates fear in Isaac's mind. Now Nick also did the same and started tracking the number of that car. Here Isaac also came to know that an FBI officer is tracking his car, and this is the same officer in whose car Bob had escaped. Now before Nick could get to the root of this matter, Isaac's people kidnapped him and beat him very badly. Actually, they wanted to know how much Nick knows the truth, but when after a lot of effort Nick did not tell them anything, so they decided to kill him. But before these people could kill him, Bob killed all of Isaac's men with the help of his sniper guns. Now here Nick told Bob that I know you are innocent, so you should surrender yourself to the police so that the law can help you. Although Bob refused to do this outright, because if he did not take revenge from Isaac, then tomorrow he would do the same to someone else. Now Nick also agreed to his words and got ready to support him. On the other hand, Isaac and his friends came to know that Bob sends flowers to a girl named Sarah every year. On knowing this, Isaac sent his men to kidnap Sarah. On the other hand, Bob and Nick went to meet a weapon expert, where Bob asked this man whether it is possible that a bullet is fired from another gun and it is shown to be fired from another gun. On this man says that yes, it is possible to do this. This technique is called paper patching technique, in which the bullet is fired from somewhere else and shown to be fired from somewhere else. Here this man also told Bob that apart from you, only one man can shoot so accurately, and that is Mikhailo. Now when this man described Mikhailo's appearance, Bob immediately understood that Mikhailo is none other than Michael Sandor, who was in Isaac's team. After this, Nick called his office and got the address of Michael Sandor, who was currently in Virginia. Now that night, two men of Isaac entered Sarah's house so that they could kidnap her. Now Sarah killed one man, but unfortunately the other man caught her. Here Isaac also realized that by now Bob must have known everything about Michael Sandor, and he will definitely go after him. So Isaac made a plan that when Bob and Nick will come to Virginia to catch Michael Sandor, we will attack them and kill them. Now according to the plan, Bob and Nick reached Virginia and went to a supermarket and bought all the material to make the bomb. Now Bob knew that Isaac and Michael will also definitely attack them in return. So he taught him sniping so that he could help him when needed. Now the next day Bob went to Michael's farmhouse, and Nick, sitting at a distance, started telling him the location of all the guards. Now Bob killed all the guards one by one, and before going to the farmhouse he placed a lot of bombs in the bushes around. After this he went inside the farmhouse where Michael was already waiting for him. Here Michael told him that actually our plan was not to kill the president but to kill the leader of that other country. Because that day he was going to tell the people about that village which Isaac and his team destroyed on the orders of an oil company. Actually, 3 years ago, a very big oil company had to lay its pipeline in a small village in Africa, and for this work they had to vacate that entire village. But when the villagers refused to do so, Isaac and his team killed all the people of the village and buried them in a big grave. Now here Bob understood the whole thing, that 3 years ago when he was in that village of Africa, the US Army had told him and Donnie to kill him. Now Bob realized that not only Isaac but also big politicians of this country are involved in this scam. Now after telling this whole thing, Michael shot himself, and at the same time Isaac's people attacked Bob. Now Nick, sitting far away, activated all the bombs. And here inside the farmhouse Bob started killing Isaac's people one by one. Now after killing all of them, Bob came out of this farmhouse, but at the same time a helicopter started chasing him. Now since Nick and Bob were already prepared for this attack, they fought fiercely with Isaac's people. Now as soon as that helicopter came over an oil tanker, Bob shot that tanker and blasted it, and in this blast that helicopter also burnt to ashes. After this we see Isaac and his companions, whose tension was increasing because Bob was slowly getting closer to them. On the other hand, Nick called the FBI and told them that he has caught Bob. Actually, Nick did this so that the news reaches Isaac and he can get a job from him. Now their plan was successful. In the next few minutes Isaac called Nick. Here Bob talked to Isaac and made an offer to him that if he released Sarah he would delete the recording of Michael Sandor, in which he has told how Isaac and his team destroyed an entire village in Africa on the orders of an oil company. Now Isaac had no other option, so he agreed to this deal and both of them decided to meet on a snowy mountain the next day. Next day Isaac reached that mountain with his companions and Sarah. Then a man came walking towards them from the front, but Isaac's sniper shot this man. Now Isaac thought that he had killed Bob, but this was a trick of Bob, and this man was none other than Nick, who had put a bulletproof metal inside his jacket. Now when Isaac's sniper fired at Nick, Bob came to know the location of the sniper, and here Bob killed the sniper by hitting a headshot. He killed the sniper, and along with that he shot the man who was holding Sarah's hand. Here we see the FBI chief who got a letter sent by Nick, and through this letter Nick had given him the information of this mission. Now after reading this letter the FBI team also left for that mountain so that they can arrest Isaac and Bob. Here after killing that sniper, Bob came in front of them, and here Nick took the weapons from Isaac and his companions. But then Sarah took a gun and killed that man because he had kidnapped Sarah and tortured her a lot. Now here Bob calmed her down and started talking to Makayam along with Isaac. Here Makayam told Bob that you cannot do anything to us through that recording because the top officials of the government are also involved with us in this scam. By now Bob had also understood that if he made these proofs public then the people of the government will kill him as well as Nick and Sarah. That is why he burnt this recording in front of them. Then the FBI team came here and caught Bob. Along with this Isaac and his companions were also caught. Now after a few days Bob was presented in front of the court, and Isaac and his companions were also present in this court. Now here Bob called for his rifle found at the crime scene so that he could prove his innocence. Here Bob told the judge that before leaving the house he had removed the firing pins of his gun, and it is impossible to fire a bullet from this gun without a firing pin. Now to prove this he also took shot at Nick, but due to the absence of firing pins, the bullet remained inside the gun, and this proved that Bob is completely innocent. Now the court declared Bob innocent, but they did not take any action against Isaac because Bob had also burnt the last evidence against him. Now that night Isaac and Makayam went to their farmhouse and started celebrating their victory. But then Bob came there and started killing Isaac's men one by one, and as soon as Isaac stood up he shot him in the chest and killed him. Along with that he also killed Makayam. Now while leaving the house he exploded the gas pipeline so that no evidence would remain against him. Finally Bob completed his revenge and got justice for all the people killed in that village. On the other hand we see Sarah, who was waiting for him outside the farmhouse. After this both of them left from there and started a new life together. The movie ends here.